The Cowboys' second preseason game is officially in the books, and perhaps mercifully so. Unfortunately, it was another ugly performance. A 31-13 loss that left plenty of questions and not many encouraging answers. The Cowboys only managed 13 points, and 7 of those came from the defense, which tells you everything you need to know about how poor the offense looked. Once again, it was sloppy, it was uninspired, and it was frustrating. I want everyone watching to drop your grades in the comments, because I'd honestly be shocked if anyone gave this team anything higher than a D. In my eyes, it was a flat-out bad performance, and there's no sugarcoating it. I get it, it's only preseason, and the games don't count. But the habits, the execution, and the level of preparation still matter, and right now, the Cowboys just don't look ready. Injury updates are always the first concern in these games, and the Cowboys walked away with a few notable ones. Bruce Harmon left with a knee injury and was ruled questionable to return. Realistically, he was a long shot to make the roster anyway, but you never want to see anyone go down. Christian Matthew, another late addition to this injury-depleted secondary, also didn't finish the game. Robert Rochelle didn't even play, and things got so thin at corner that they had to put Andrew Booth back in after he had already delivered a pick six and was essentially done for the night. That tells you how desperate they were for bodies. Tight end Princeton Font also went down after catching a nice seam ball from Will Grier. Looked like a shoulder issue, he stayed down holding it, and there weren't a lot of details given. And then there's Jonathan Mingo, who made a fantastic touchdown grab and another strong play before leaving with what looked like a minor knee injury. He seemed okay on the sideline, helmet off, shoes off, walking around without much concern, so it felt more like a "you're fine, but we're not risking you" situation. Still, it's something worth keeping an eye on. As for the takeaways, the first quarter was once again a disaster. Last week, they put up 1 yard of total offense in the opening frame. This week, -5. That means through 2 preseason games, the Cowboys have a combined -4 yards of offense in the first quarter. That is beyond unacceptable. It doesn't matter if it's backups versus backups. This is still about preparation, execution, and competing. Offensive coordinator Brian Schottenheimer literally said pregame they wanted to start faster. Well, they didn't. And while the defense opened stronger, the offense just stunk from the start. I'm not melting down because it's preseason, but I'm raising red flags because being unprepared 2 weeks in a row is a bad sign. Now, let's talk about Joe Milton, because this game was a rough reminder of the Joe Milton experience I warned everyone about when the Cowboys made the move for him. He's never been good in the preseason, and he wasn't good here. Statistically, 9 of 18 for 50% is actually an improvement from some of his past preseason outings, but it still wasn't good enough. He started horribly, 1 of 4 for 2 yards, then 2 of 8 for 14 yards and an interception. The lone bright spot was a beautiful throw to Jonathan Mingo, but outside of that, it was bad. Everything else looked off: timing, decision-making, accuracy. Yes, there was a drop or two, but you can't hide from the overall performance. If Dak Prescott goes down, this team is absolutely cooked because neither Milton nor Grier has shown they're capable of keeping things afloat. That being said, it wasn't all negatives. The linebackers played really well, and that's worth highlighting. DeMarvion Overshone had himself a strong night. Shamar James was flying around, and even though Darius Harris was inconsistent, he still contributed with tackles and pressure. James stood out with 7 tackles and a pass breakup, while Clark notched 2 tackles for loss, along with 7 stops. Harris added 3 tackles and a QB hit, but also got flagged for a late hit. Overall, though, the linebacker unit was one of the few bright spots and played fast and physical when the defensive line gave them space. The run game, on the other hand, was uninspiring. The Cowboys' run offense didn't show much, and the run defense wasn't much better. Deuce Vaughn had just 5 carries for 11 yards, while Phil Maffa had 1 good run called back by penalty, but otherwise looked bottled up. On the defensive side, they held Miles Sanders to just 15 yards on 7 carries, which looks good on paper, but they also gave up chunk plays early and relied on negative plays to balance out the stat line. First-rounder Mazie Smith continues to be a concern. He wasn't terrible, but he also wasn't disruptive against backups, and that's worrisome. He admitted afterward that he needs to play better, and he's right. He looks like an average rotational piece right now when he should be dominating this level of competition. Looking at the depth chart battles, I'm not sure there's as much competition as the coaches want us to believe. Javonte Williams is clearly RB1. He didn't even play, and that tells you all you need to know. Some guys like Andrew Booth and Izzy Mukuamu have secured their spots because of necessity and flashes of playmaking. But when you look at the receiver rotation, it's the same order as before. Mingo left early, Tolbert didn't even play, and guys like Jalen Brooks were still buried. It doesn't look like anyone's really climbing the ladder, despite the public were letting competition decide narrative. If I had to hand out a game ball, I'd give it to Andrew Booth for the pick 6. It was one of the only true highlight moments from the Cowboys side, in what was otherwise another frustrating outing. There weren't many other candidates. So here's where we stand. The Cowboys have now played 2 preseason games, and in both, they looked unprepared, sloppy, and uninspired. Joe Milton hasn't shown enough. The run game has been non-existent, and depth chart battles don't feel very real. The linebackers and Andrew Booth were positives, but the overall picture isn't great. It's only preseason, yes, but at some point, habits become patterns, and patterns bleed into the regular season. For me, the biggest focus remains on Milton. He simply hasn't been good enough. Completing 50% of his passes actually raises his career preseason average, which tells you how low the bar is. He needs more development, and the Cowboys may need to give Will Grier more reps in the final preseason game just to get a clearer picture who the real QB2 should be. Because as of now, Milton hasn't proven he's capable of stepping up, and if Doc were to miss time, this offense would be in serious trouble. This was another bad showing, another D-grade performance. And unless things drastically change in the final tune-up, it's fair to question whether the Cowboys are truly ready for the regular season.